Welcome to this video. What we're going to do is go through all of the new features we've added since VoiceQ 8.0 for all of those that don't know all of the new features we've added, and to try and give you a little bit of a quick little update visually on everything that we've added. Starting off really quick with 8.1, I'm just going to go feature by feature, and then I think from there we can break down into different workflows that we've added. So the most recent thing we've added is batch comment editing. Essentially, when you have the comments active, so let's find our comments tab here, which is this one there. So we're just going to put it here. What we can actually do now is highlight over a couple of these lines. So let's just say for the first 10 lines, we just want to add a comment in here, just an example text. Just going to enter that. And let's just say we want to do that on the dub annotations as well. So we're going to paste that through. What that does is it adds a text across all of these lines. So all 10 now have the example text. And then say if I just want to change these three, let's get rid of that. You can see visually that it is gone and then is still available in the others. Dub annotations is also something new, so we might as well cover that while we're here. So essentially what we've done is the dub annotations from a PLDL script can now be just transferred over into this little text area here. What we did there though is, let's just say if we had a specific false narrative or a character on screen, which this isn't, but we're just using it as an example, we can actually go up to the type here and enter in the type for the selection that it is. So if it is a main title, we can tick that. When I apply that, you can actually see that the dub annotation has a main title, plus it has the annotation text below it. So these are two new features that we've added in with both the batch comment editing. So it's built in and baked into the script, and it works across multiple languages. The second thing that we've added in is a little visual cue. So essentially, let's just go here and right click, and then let's just split the scene. So I'm going to click split scene here. Once the scene is split, you're going to notice something a little bit different from VoiceQ 8.0, even anything below that. You'll notice that the scene band here is a lot thicker, has a grayer appearance, and actually can scale in size. So let's just say we wanted to make this a little bit bigger. Let's just paste this in a couple times just to show you. We can actually expand this out. So if you wanted to really make a nice clean visual for your users on what scene you should be recording or anything like that, you can just add in that text in there, and it just thickens out the band, gives it a nice little strong presence for your users, so that way they know that these are scenes that they need to use. On top of that, working with scenes, we also added a new feature in 8.0. So if you right click here, we've got an option here called offset scenes. Now essentially this is for light conforming. So let's just say for an example, I've got scene 2 here, but I want to maybe up to line 11. We'll go to 12, split the scene here. Okay, and then I'm just going to mark this. So like this is one that I want to move to, let's just say it actually should be sitting at 00, maybe 0125, right? So I've got the number there. I've got the guidance maybe from a guide track or a EDL or another changelog script. What I can do is then right click and click on offset scenes, hit offset scenes, and then as you can see, we can shift detection markers and timeline markers, and you even have the option to move everything past the scene. So if there's another scene, as you can see, scene 3, you can actually click this and it'll move everything forward. So it's really good if you just want to change the start time of a certain amount of video and text. And then we just paste this here. It's going to go up by 16 seconds. We can apply that. Will overlap, so it'll give you that warning if there's a scene overlap. And then you can see that visually here. So 125 is now the new timing. Once I've done that, I can actually go back. So I'm just going to undo. And let's just say we just go back to one scene. It's going to wipe it all out. So that's just something new here that we've added. Again, just right click, offset scenes, and then you can offset everything by, let's just say we want to move everything by an hour. We can shift that. All the lines move by 1 hour. So we're now posted 1 hour above the media. So let's just say if we wanted to keep that original 0 start time, we'd just move that scene to an hour. You have that option there. So you see we've still got a 0 start time here. What I'm going to do is just undo that. We're going to go back to 0, just so everything is all locked up and lined up. A new feature that we've added in recently as well, which I really want to touch on, is the export options. So we used to have an export option in the export area called, I think it was called the advanced export. So it was a tiny little block in between, I think, UNA and dub blocks, maybe around TTAL, that we've removed. And essentially what we've done is we moved all of the advanced export into the script exports. So export script XLSX, CSV, and TSV. Now, essentially, when you load it up, it's going to have that original export for Excel, what you're used to. We've added in a couple other things, so on-screen notes, event types, screen positioning, dub annotations all have their own columns now by default. But over here in the bottom left, you can see we can now do presets. These presets allow you to do a lot of cool things. If I click on all, essentially what it does is turn on every single line, even down to the scene ID and line ID. So this is the UDID that VoiceQ uses to actually track the changes that you make. This is a key thing I'll talk about later on, especially with the conforming stages workflow that we're working on. But essentially you can see all of the different columns, what's been ticked, what's not, what line numbers there are, scene numbers, characters. And the great thing about this is, let's just say we need to move something to a specific area, we can move it straight across just like you would in the script. And the same thing with adding or removing columns. So for this one, okay, maybe we don't need scenes. So go to scene, uncheck that, removes it from that. We've got actors, we've got talent, we've got character. Again, can remove talent if I don't want that. And we sorted it in a way where everything makes sense. So the top is timing and scene and character. And then we have the character options in here, down to queue numbers. And then we've got all of these different new checkboxes we've added. And we've even given you the scene and line ID as well. Now, scene and line ID is really good if you wanted to export the script, do a conform externally, and then bring it back in. Because essentially, if VoiceQ has the line ID, it can drop it back in the right place, but maybe at a new time with some new text. You never know. Also inside of this advanced options here, we have the filter tab. So if you click on the filter tab, you'll see all the characters that you can export. So let's just say I just want to do a default export. So just a real basic one like this. But I only want to export out Brad Hunter's lines, all right? So Sam Vincent, the actor that's coming in, I just want his lines. So as you can see here, we can go back to data, and we just got a nice accurate readout of that. So we can export this out, either in Excel, CSV or TSV, or even text. So tab separated values is something that we strongly recommend when using VoiceQ because it allows us to break everything down. But for this, we can just press Microsoft Excel, export this out. I could just drop it here in our VoiceQ folder. And when I press spacebar here, you can see there's all of the lines for the character as well as the script. So I kept everything as clean as possible, and I'm able to send this off to anyone to do rehearsals, practice, anything like that, if you're allowed to. But if you're working on higher tier stuff, obviously you'd use the cloud or use a different system, but this is just one option that we can give you. The next thing we've added is high frame rate support. So essentially in the view project settings options, we've given you the option to go all the way up to about 120 FPS. Now, some video game companies have requested this, so we've gone ahead and done that. There also have been some video on demand or VR videos that need dubbing. They do run in 59.94, so we've added support for that, as well as 48 FPS, like something like the Hobbit series, how it actually runs at 48 FPS in special video modes. And we foresee that potentially this could be adopted in the VR space or in the AR space in the future. Next thing we've done, sure I could find a visual for this, but essentially we've added import options for audio description Starfish XML. So essentially if you ever use the Starfish system, you can click on this, import the XML, and it'll import all of the data for this. If I click on this, let's just see if I can find a file. I've got one here, test project that we've got, the grouping with scenes, audio timings, all of that can be done. Again, it's like SRT where there's no character association. So this is essentially just a character, and we're going to press import. And just so you can see it on the scene here, just to show you, we've got that import here. So this is all audio description. Because it is audio description, it usually is one narrator. So you can just import that in straight into the system. We have added OpenGL and Blackmagic visual support. So this is something completely new. Let me just remove this character here. We're going to go and open this window. By default, when you open VoiceQ, it opens in what we call the default video mode. What we're going to do here is go to the window options, go to video output configuration. It'll open up this nice little menu here. We're going to click on default and change it to OpenGL. And then over here, there's a few new options we've added. Display latency, something that we've recently added support for. So it's a delay latency if you're using like an external screen that they may be like further away or connected via a long HDMI. And then we have texture font size support. So by default, Mipmap is turned on. Now what Mipmap does is it basically tightens up your text so it looks a lot cleaner. So as you can see here, very sharp text. And then also you can adjust the font texture size depending on the size of your video. Now this functionality here for Mipmap and display latency also covers Blackmagic devices. So if you are running a Blackmagic device, I don't have one plugged into the system right now, but if I did, you would have the options for the video device and video mode in this system as well. Once we've done that, we can close this. Now, as you can see, we are still in the new video mode. So I'm going to press play here. As you can see, with this new video mode, we've actually been able to get really smooth and tight rhythm band performance. And that's also accompanied by the high performance playback mode that is now default on all VoiceQ systems. So it's really tight, really nice. And what we've added recently is if you go to the preferences, there's some new features for specific workflows. So primarily for anime, it's the reason why I'm showing you this here on screen, is under the projects, we can go do a couple things. First off, let's change that font. Let's go something a little more cartoony for this. Let's go down and we're just going to click Chalkboard SE is the one we want to use. So we've just gone ahead and done that. We can use the rhythm band font on the preview text as well. So if we press all lines, you can then see that there. So that is now added to the system. Now one feature we don't have yet is show previous and next lines, but that will be coming in a future update. But in here, you can control the size of the text and then also the altitude and the size of the bands, where all that sits. You can control scroll speed and how that looks. Crush scroll speeds have a higher support range now than they used to on Blackmagic cards and OpenGL, so that's something that's good as well. So let's just pump up that trigger width a little bit. There we go. Now in the second tab of Preferences Project, in the Q options, we've added a few new options for the beep. Now essentially what you can do is go enable visual countdown. So as you can see up here, I've already done the adjustment, but essentially in the original version, the size was large, it was right in the middle of the screen, and had a real basic altitude. But for this, we really wanted to give our users a little bit more customization on where this timer can sit, because sometimes it's nice to have the beep, sometimes it's nice to merge both. So if I press play here, you can have a nice visual countdown, and you can also have a nice visual count up. So 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3. Completely up to you. And all of these are now movable. We also have streamer support. So if you haven't used streamer support, we have the timing for that. It is set default by 3 seconds, but you can change it to whichever one you like. Under the progress tab, this is something new that we've added as well. So this is the selected line progress. So if you go to current line, let's just click on that one and then select here. You'll see the selected progress bar appear here. So I have a custom color on this. So for this, we've done a custom color in yellow. I'm just going to change the altitude here, change the width, and then maybe just adjust the height. Maybe make it bigger, make it smaller, whatever you like, you can do that here. And basically what it does is it gives the visual for the actor from the start of the line all the way to the end. So once you hit that end break, boom, and then we'll move on to the next line, it'll come up there. So that's really set up to actually help your actors get a visual like, okay, cool. So I've got this line to record. Sometimes the rhythm band might be a bit too harsh, so you can actually turn it off and then use this to accompany you. So let's just press play on this. Okay, so we get a good timing on this. Let's just do a little practice, right? So we'll press play. You can't just boot us out like that. That's what an actor would say, and it just gives them a nice little way to actually find the end of that line. If that wasn't there, you could say, you can't just boot us out like that. Maybe you drag it too long, maybe you say it too short. This actually lets you see where the lip hip movement could be and give your actor a little bit more freedom with that timing. So it's just another visual cue to add. You don't have to use it. We recommend it if you're doing any live action projects or anime, completely up to you. It's a really nice thing to hear with the preview text. That's just our recommendation. Apart from that, not much else has changed inside of the projects. We've obviously, if you weren't here previously, we've added a whole lot of functions for forced narrative lines. So basically we can hide forced narrative lines from the digital rhythm band. They're treated differently than other lines. All the other features are here, like inverting colors or trigger colors, trigger widths. All of that is completely customizable by the user. Same thing with the preview text. Like I said, you can use the font or use the setup, use the system default font. That's completely up to you. We also have FN mode for this as well. So if you want to have that, or if you want to have the on-screen comment and also the line and on-screen comment there, you can do that, or also hide or show the character's name. A lot of cool features in here. The subtitle mode, a lot of people ask us about that. What it actually is, it essentially gives you a full play out. So it adds a little bit extra time on it so it plays up to the next line. So if it goes here, then it flicks off slightly, but it's like a full dropout. Whereas if you don't have subtitle mode on, it'll actually carry over. So you can see that. So subtitle mode actually makes it lock. So if your endpoint is here, so like that, subtitle mode will drop it out instantly. So it gives you that subtitle visual. And if you leave it off, it's more of a flowed view. So it has like more of a longer timeout, you know, for the next line that comes through as it flows through, as opposed to subtitle view. The next thing that I want to cover is the new checkboxes. Yes, we have done it. We've added a stack of checkboxes here. So the original done line checkbox has been removed. It's actually been replaced and titled recorded. So what it means is when you've recorded a line or completed a line, it is now marked here. And as you can see, the progress updates one by one as per usual. But the new features we've added here, as you can see, are the adapted pickup voiceover or VO, pull, use OV, and also QC. So we've added all these options for your workflow. So if anyone who's doing adaptation wants to go through and tick those and say, I've adapted this, it's 100% all good, you can tick that. It also marks the timestamps on each one. So the time and date for everyone that's been ticked. So this one's here at 12:50. This one's here at 12:51, maybe. So there we go. 4, 3, 2, and then 5:51. There you go. Got it there. So the new timestamps go through, so you can QC these. These kind of work in tandem with the old coloring system where you can use. In the future, we're looking at adding filters so you can like filter out specific lines. If a line's marked yellow, you can filter out that and only show all the yellow lines or the red lines. And the same thing goes with the checkboxes. Those filtering systems will be added later as well. Just for now, we just decided to just integrate and add these checkboxes as we go. So pickup is here. So what pickup does is if it's ticked recorded, it will say, hey, look, this is not recorded. We'll flag that as a pickup. We also have VO. So again, when the filter's set up, you can actually mark all your VO characters in here. So you could, if you have a character or VO, you could essentially press a button and it's set up. So let me just show you a quick one. So we're just going to rename this one just so we've got an example. So we're going to go VO. Once we click VO, we want to filter those characters. So let's filter that. And then what we do is just go to all the VO tick checkboxes and just check them all. So that way we know, okay, cool, these are all the VOs. And then we can go back, so clear that filter. And now the VOs are all checked, so you know that, okay, this is a voiceover. So the voiceover VO is actually a lot closer. So it's more like a narration like what you're hearing with my voice, as opposed to something that's more far away in the distance. So that's all we're doing with this, just adding in a nice little checkbox for that. And again, it's got the timecode places stamped into it. And that's all part of the export as well. So what I showed you before in the export is the full export here. So if I go to all, you can see it was, yes, it was recorded and it was recorded at on what date. So we like to keep all that in a nice tidy order, and that helps you with versioning as well. So it gives you a nice little visual view and a visual cue for everything that you're doing. We've also changed the functionality of pull and use OV. So essentially, let's just say we've got this line here, 0 out of 5 is done, but we want to use pull. When you click it, it actually marks it as a recorded line because essentially you're pulling it from somewhere else. And also for use OV, you're using the original. So again, doesn't have to be recorded. So those are just optional. You could still use recorded if you wanted. These are just optional if you want to just select that. Now, the new big functionality that we've added with VoiceQ Cloud. Now, down here on the left, you're going to see a little button down here, and it's called the sync button. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up to the VoiceQ menu up here. We're going to press on preferences or settings, depending on what you have. Just going to make sure we're on the global, just check everything's set up in the systems area. So we want to go to systems. You want to click on that, and then down here you can see all of your cloud synchronization options. So we have two new options that we've added. One is the automatic cloud synchronization. Now basically what that does is, if this is ticked, every 300 seconds it will check with the cloud, see if there's anything new, come back to you. If there's not, it won't notify you. If there is, then it will tell you, hey, look, there's been a change. Do you want to pull from the cloud? And it'll pull only the changes made on the cloud, nothing in your native one. All it'll do is just push any changes you've done locally to the cloud. We do have prompts for conflicts. So say if somebody, comes along and is like, hey, look, I've edited the same line that you've edited in your local project, the conflict will prompt, and then you're advised to go to the VoiceQ Cloud and see what changes have been made on the cloud. If it's tangible, we'd recommend just using the resolve conflicts using local or using online. So let's just say I'm in a recording session. I know that I'm the only one that should have this project open. I have automatic cloud sync, so maybe someone online is making changes. They can push those changes, but if there's a conflict in any way, the local data will always win if I have this selected, or if I know that I'm not going to be touching anything in VoiceQ, it'll only be worked on by a cloud user, you can click using online data and that'll stream back through to VoiceQ. But by default, prompt conflicts will be on here. So I'm just going to turn off automatic cloud sync, and I'm just going to leave check cloud project changes. This is something new here. So we're going to close this, and I'm going to go to my account. So VoiceQ account and login. I'm just going to log into my personal account. I'm going to press login here. And as you can see down the bottom here, we have the cloud set up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you a real quick glimpse of VoiceQ Cloud. So we're just going to load up this project in cloud. So I've just logged in. As you can see, here's the project and here's all the data. So you can see all the data here, and you can see what's been recorded and what hasn't. What we're going to do is we're going to go into script. Let's just make like a real subtle change to this. So we're just going to go here, close this video window down, and just tick the line as recorded. So essentially what we've done is we just tick the line here, line 1 that's recorded. So we're just going to clear this out. And then on the VoiceQ native one, we're actually going to untick it. So this is a nice little way to show you the conflict. So what we're going to do is go to File, go to Cloud and press Sync. That's one option. Or we can go down the bottom left here and press the Cloud Sync. So let's press that. Conflict will be detected. I know personally that the one I want to pull from is from the cloud because I've ticked it online. So I'm going to click the using online conflict. Now, as you can see, I previously ticked a whole lot of other checkboxes, adapted, VO, QC, and a couple others for recording as well. So let's head back to the browser and refresh this here. So as you can see, 0% recorded. Let's change that now. 2%, there we go. So those different lines have been ticked off. Lines recorded 6 out of 28, and then we got 1 out of 99 for this one. So it does mean that those changes have come through. So I'm going to press on this here. And then you can see that the changes were prompted online. Cool. So that's essentially the Cloud Sync. Now, the other options inside of Cloud Sync to know is if this button is red, it means it needs to be uploaded. So let's just do this. Again, I'm going to do local, save this. We're going to save our project. And every time I click this, it's just going to push it and sync whatever is online. Now, when it's set as green, that means the sync is automatic. So like I said before, you can do automatic cloud syncs. Let's do that. You'll notice it lights up green. That just means every 300 seconds, it is just going to sync and you don't have to do a thing. You can force it if you want. That's okay. Now, if a change is made online, it will flag as red. So it means it'll tell you via a notification if you have that set up, hey, look, man, you need to update this project. It's a little bit out of date. There might be some changes. So you push that button will go through and everything will run. And that's the Cloud Sync. Now I've added a couple other new features as well. You can see here under the View Project Settings, or Command 9, that we've got 2 videos here. So we're using one remote one from the cloud, and we've also got one local here as well. You do have the option to use either. However, we have added a new feature and function to the system. So essentially, under the playback options in script, you'll see 2 new features here called Previous Media and Next Media. Now, this is probably the worst example because both of the videos look exactly the same, but bear with me just so you can understand what we're doing. So essentially what we can do is have one video with a voiceover only track or another video with another track. Or if we're using different versions of a video, we can have those conforms sitting there. We can essentially flip back and forth. So by using the function inside of playback, which is Control 8 and 9, we can go here. So let's just click on one of these guys. So let's go Control 8 and Control 9. So you can see these videos are exactly the same. So it's not really showing you what we're supposed to, but obviously what we can actually see is in the waveform, we've got a raw waveform here from our native version. So this is a native video being loaded from our system. And then we've got the digital waveform that's been generated from the cloud. Again, video playback will be the same on cloud. We actually generate waveforms as regions on the cloud as opposed to our raw waveform on the desktop. So if we go here and press Control 9, we can see that we've got that beautiful raw waveform here. And also a new feature we added in that hasn't been discussed more with our users is if you right click on waveform, you can actually expand it. Yeah, that's something new. And then you can even bring it back to default. So we can expand it right out. So if you're working with a little bit of dialogue that's like maybe a little too small, you can actually expand this out just so you can get a little more volume and actually see, where these specific lip movements are. So here's a good example here with this character. This is quite a lot of background audio, but for this we can essentially find, okay, there's a lip movement. Okay, so play that. Roger that. So there's a little bit of play there, and you can see it with the visual waveform as well. Other options we've added. So let's go ahead and open up a Pro Tools session. So we're going to click sync on this. We're going to close up this VoiceQ Cloud because it's not needed at the moment. And then inside of here, let's just bring up the edit window. Now, if you're not familiar with this, as you can see, I've got a whole bunch of MIDI just for your FYI, so you understand how to get that. If you go to File and go to Export and export out MIDI markers, you actually have the option to export all of the lines. If we go select all for the characters, we can export character name, line number, and export individual files, or we can actually export the script text itself. So you have those different options, and if you've got timeline markers that you may have added individually, if you added a marker here, you can actually export those as well. But I've previously exported a MIDI and imported it into this system, and I think we've got MIDI set up already. So what I'm going to do is go disable the MIDI. It's going to turn off our beat clock, turn off GNMTC, and then turn off peripherals. Once you turn off peripherals, we're going to turn off our machine control, and then we're going to go over to satellite. So under this, we're going to click administrator. We're going to set up an admin, and then back in VoiceQ, we're going to go to VoiceQ preferences. We're going to hit door, and then we're going to go to our satellite settings. You can see I've got regions on now, and I've got an interface set up. So I'm going to press connect satellite link. Boom. Once we've clicked that, we're going to go back to Pro Tools. Inside of the system, you should see VoiceQ Pro on the iMac local, depending on what device you're using, of course. We're going to close that. Now that's set up, I want to show you some cool shortcuts. So the first cool shortcut that we've added is Control R, which actually turns on the region selection. Now, what is region selection, you're probably asking? When we select a line here, let me just show you. You can essentially select the region for that line itself. So if we select the line in the system, we can actually select the region for that. And then if we press Command R, we can deselect that. So you can actually select whatever you'd like. We're just going to select through. So as you can see, the region selection is occurring. So that's that black bar selection here. So if I press play, both of these will play in sync for the region. And let's just say I don't want region selection. I can press Command R as I instructed before and press on a line, and then I won't have to have that region playback there at all. So Command R, Control R is going to be your friend for the region control. So here's a good example. Here's a region control on and region control off. We've also added new features here for the split scenes. So you can actually select the position in the scene, right click and press split scene. So once you split the scene here, you'll see the break off here, and then we can actually have two different scenes inside of that. So that's just a quick way to add scene breakers if you wanted to at different times. Other new features we've added, if you right click here in the scene characters, we have a couple new ones. So you can remove unused characters from current scene and all scenes. If you use multiple scenes, you can do that. You can allocate a character to all non-allocated character lines. So let's just say if you have a line that has no characters associated to it, you can click that and bring it in. Split combine character into multiple characters. If you have something that is separated by a comma or a slash, you can essentially click this and it will split it into different characters. It'll generate new ones if they don't exist. But say if we got someone here, like the first two characters on the top there, if they're together speaking, we can essentially break them. So let's just go here and just show you a nice little selection for that. So here's Brad here. So we're just going to go here and we're going to make a new character and we'll make BitCloud the other one. Cool, so you can see that we've got that there and we're just going to associate that character there. Now what we can do is if we right click, we press split combined, it'll tell you that it's going to move them into the two characters, split it. So it's moved both of those lines out and then essentially it has merged, created brand new lines for the both of them. So it just generates them together. So here it is here. So it's just regenerated two of the same lines for that character speaking. Thank you all for watching. Please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on any of our social medias. Thank you.